Hey, Juicy. Ah, damn it, I didn't start the timer. Let's just see what time we had to start. What's going on, man? I hope you're having a great Saturday. Almost got my days mixed up. Yeah, man, had a pretty good day today. Actually, didn't really do much. I spent 4 hours performing surgery on my cell phone. So that took up like the entire day practically. Well, everything was looking good, but it looks like my Ludus server's offline, so I'm gonna try and fix that real quick. Hey, Frackery, what's up, man? I was actually so stuck in bed, man. I am actually trying to find a cable so I can connect to my server. We had a big power outage for a couple hours earlier in the week, and I haven't had time to log into the server, and I was like, completely forgot that I had to reset it. So I'm trying to do it real quick before the stream gets going. Hey guys. All right. So, getting booted up, getting everything going. By the way, I don't got my ears in, so if there's an alert, I'll check it in just a second. But I forgot. This server, much like my desktop, is hanging on by hopes and dreams. And we had a big power outage earlier in the week. Power's out for a couple hours, and my server doesn't really like that. So I was able to shut it down gracefully. However, if it's without power for too long, some of the backup batteries in it, like for the RAID controller, tend to just die. So, give me just a second, because I got to connect over into it so I can figure out what the heck is going on with it. I'll be back. If I can keep from knocking everything over. There's too much stuff in my office. Ugh. Ugh. I'm still here. This isn't good. It says it's online. Ugh. All right, let's see if we can unscrew this situation. Let's see. Well, that's terrible. Where did that go? Mr. Beard, what's up? What's going on, Ops? Opposite. What's up? All right. There we go. Working on the technical difficulties. So what's weird is, so the server is not responding, right? Got this here. But, so there's a weird phenomenon that happens, and that is called, I don't know, the younger kids call it machine riz. We used to call it fear of the admin. The fear of the admin was the machine wouldn't properly start working until the admin showed up. And then all of a sudden, everything was working nicely. And that's exactly what seems to have been happening here. So, let's reconnect over here and get this going. All right. Yes. Great. Now, Gotta go get the server booted back up. Let's see. So this is inside my Ludus server. In each, basically, we do all the dev for HackBot in a range. Oppostic. God, it's been a long day. Even though I didn't do very much. What we're doing is setting the lab back up real quick, and then we're going to work on building an AI hacking agent called HackBot. That's basically it. So I got to boot up the router, and I need to boot the dev box back up. So let's get those going. Hopefully they'll be right as rain. All right, looks like they're starting up just fine. Great. Let's see. First time chatter, first time banner. Get wrecked, scrub. All right, let's see here. Is it... Hopefully it's starting up here. Let's go over to the folder view. There we go. All right, let's see if we can connect over to it now. I hope it came back the way it's supposed to. Let's see. So I was able to, when the power went out, I was able to SSH over to the server real fast, suspend the dev box, and then shut down the server gracefully. However, that doesn't necessarily mean it liked what we did. So we got to give it just a second to probably finish booting up here. Let's see. Let's console. Wait, hold on. I started the wrong box? I did. This is not the right range because I'm an idiot. It's in the hack the bot range. There we go. Start. And we'll start up that one too, just in case. It would help if I started the right servers in here. But yeah, guys, so I spent 4 hours doing surgery on my phone today. And the screen looks so pretty now. Look, it's not all cracked to crap anymore. See that? Here, no cracks. So I was also replacing the battery though. And so I had basically battery, screen, all taken apart. Took me about 4 hours when it was all said and done. But I realized when you take that phone over to somebody who's doing cell phone repairs, where they make their money, and it is scraping off the freaking adhesive from the inside so you can put fresh adhesive onto it. Because that alone took an hour, just scraping off the adhesive. It was a pain in the ass. All right, let's see if this will work now. Come on, there we go. Let's reconnect. Hey. All right, so TMUX didn't come back up, but that's okay. We can make ourselves a new TMUX session. Let's see. Does it show the VNC server running? It does not. All right, that's okay. Let's see if we can get it back up and running here. So in theory, this will let us get our VNC connection back in. Oh, please work. Hey, look at that. Very cool. So that did work. All right. But now we got to get everything set back up, unfortunately. So here's PyCharm. All right. I think I can get rid of that now. Let's get rid of that. Okay, PyCharm came back up, so that is handy. Now, one thing we'll have to do is let's pop back over here. We're gonna need to get our VPN set back up too. So let's see, we can close the command prompt. We're already back into the server, and then let's go get our connection for TryHackMe up and running. Ow. Oh, that hurt my ribs. Hey, Vim Fox, what's up, man? Back in my day, the battery would just fall out the back of the phone when you dropped it. My wife and I were reminiscing about that. It's like, remember when you could just pop the battery out and stick a new one in there? Yeah. I miss those days after today. The good news is, though, this is a Pixel 6a, right? It's a fairly old model. They've just released the 10. It's running great. I don't feel the need to go drop it. So the 4 hours today that I spent basically saved me like $1,000 on going and getting a new phone. And as well as I make, decent money, but I don't make $250 an hour. So it was worth it. All right. So try hack me's coming back up. Let's get our VPN set up. So let's sudo up here. And then let's go ahead and rename this window to our VPN. And then we will make ourselves a new one here. And let's cd over to HackBot and RoboPages. Okay, let's run the RoboPages server. All right, great. And then let's rename this to RoboPages. And then we'll just make ourselves a new one, just in case we need it, which we will. All right, so Mythic is running, so we need to undo the Mythic. So let's do sudo opt Mythic, yeah. Mythic CLI stop. Let's go ahead and turn off Mythic because we don't need all those containers running. Yeah, my battery was actually doing pretty decent, Vim. So I've had this phone for, I don't know, like I think 3 years. Whenever the 6 came out, I got the 6A when it was brand new, and it was running really well. However, I was in Seattle for work, and I was running across the street to catch up to some coworkers. We were heading to dinner. I saw them down the road, and I ate it on the curb crossing the street. I just misjudged it, and I came down and bam, right on that flat edge of the phone, busted the screen, and did something to the battery because the battery life was never the same after that. So I was like, well, while I got it open, let's just replace all the internals on it. What app did I use to run the shell? So this is one called Royal TS. Bring it up real quick. Yeah, and it's from royalapps.com. But here, I'll drop a link to it over in the chat. I love this tool. I think it's great. There's a version for Windows called Royal TS. There's also a version for Mac called Royal TSX. They're fairly similar. They're almost identical, but they're slightly different. And yeah, I love this tool. I've bought 2 licenses for it, one for home and one for work, because I like it. I use it a ton. Funny story, actually. I guess it's not a super popular tool, but it does well enough. I actually found this when I was doing a penetration test. So I was in a Citrix environment, and in the environment, they had this installed in the machine. So if you're not familiar with how Citrix works, basically you're running inside of a virtual machine, and then inside of that, you've got different applications exposed, and it will just basically pipe the video output from that window to you. And that's kind of what happens whenever you're sharing apps. So there's a lot of tricks to break out of Citrix. Well, one of the ones that I did was I was able to go browse the drive, and I found Royal stuck in there. So then I had instant PowerShell access from inside Royal to the underlying machine. It was really funny. It just happened to be a good circumstance. I knew the tool, and when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, this is good. All right, let's get some other stuff set up here. What is this? Running poetry update failed. What? Yes, it does. Yeah, Mr. J, thanks for going online, man. I hope you're having an absolutely super Saturday. Stupendous. I want to say superfluous, but that's not a good word. All right. So for some reason, poetry is not happy. All right, let me check something. Let me check what's the latest version of poetry. I might just have to go modify the lock file in here. Let's see. Which version of... Let me check the lock file real quick in Poetry and see what we've got for the LangChain API. Because that was the LangChain API, right? Let's see, yeah, or LangGraph API. So the LangGraph API, for some reason, it's not liking. So let's go find that real fast. This was working though when we did this. 02132. I wonder why it's doing that. Rude Felon, what's up, man? I love these names. I hope everybody's doing really well tonight. Normally we've been well underway, kind of working on HackBot, getting it seated up. However, I forgot that the lab box got all jacked up. So, not a problem. We'll just fix this real quick. Let's see. So I might have to go... I think I can upgrade just that one package, but I gotta remember how to do it. Poetry, let's see. Update single package. Okay, I gotta see which version of the LangGraph API is out right now. That's the performance. This is the reference to it. That's not what I need. I need the Python package. I gotta see which version we're running with here. Wait, where's the version right now? Wow, we're at 0429. Okay. Actually, I might be able to change the lock file here. Actually, before I change the lock file, let's go change the TOML. Where's our Pi project TOML? Oh, I think this is why. I think this less than whatever was messing it up here. So let's try that. Let's take that back out. Actually, I meant to use UV with this, but we started off with Poetry. Probably whenever I get to the first milestone and we do a rewrite of the code base, then I'm going to do this. You son of a biscuit. What the French toast? Let me see. It's because it's doing this right here. So what's happening is these packages, it's getting that version real tiny. So let's go adjust some of these real quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out all the upper level restrictions here because I don't think we have any upper level restrictions going on. So lib nmap we actually don't even need anymore, I don't think. Let's see, python.env, I'll just leave that for now. So all the ones related to LangGraph, I'm going to take out these argparse, probably be fine. Let's take you out. And let's see, Docker, we can do okay with that. Okay. Oh, the MCP adapter, let's go ahead and take that out. There we go. Let's go try updating this again. I've been neglecting updating the packages because I was going to worry about it once we actually got the entire project kind of working. Hey, Chris, what's up, man? Okay, cool. Looks like it found an upgrade solution. Great. We can get this running, and then I'm sure we're going to run the test case, and it's going to just absolutely probably eat it. And we'll have to troubleshoot it again. But you know what? Such is the way. Keep doing great things. Dude, I don't hardly even do great things. You want to talk about great things, man? So the YouTube video just dropped out this morning. That's probably, I was thinking about it, that's probably the biggest exploit I'll ever cover. And thank God it was averted, right? It didn't go live. So for anybody who hadn't seen it, there was a YouTube video I dropped this morning. It's about a news article for a severe like auth bypass in Microsoft's Azure or Entra Cloud, whichever one you want to talk about it in. It's technically probably in Entra. Actually, it is technically in Entra, but anyway. And it was such a complete and horrible exploit. It was just a flaw in the authentication mechanism around a particular type of authentication token, and you could have basically used it to get admin onto any tenant in the entire environment. If you had created a worm-like system with it, you could have taken over literally probably every single Azure tenant, or at least anyone that's like wasn't like somebody's little personal one. You probably could have taken out over every single one on the entire planet. Like I said, there was a reason why I was calling it Azure Geddon. So, my only regret is that I wish the YouTube channel was a little bit bigger so more people would see it, because it's such a massive exploit. I really hope Dirk John got paid like 7 figures from MSRC on that. It was, he saved them billions. They should at least kick him like a cool mill. All right, let's see here. Get rid of this. Doot. All right, let's see if we can actually get everything up and running now. So let's go ahead and run the LangGraph server. Here's hoping. Everything's looking good so far. All right, let's see if it's connected up. Didn't like that. It is up and running. Why you not do that? I think I might have to rebuild this connection here. Let me close this out and restart it. Because this is using some SSH port forwards to come through with this, and maybe they just didn't attach properly. You son of a bitch. Let me check something real quick. That's not what I needed. Let's see. Let's check the port forward. That is horrible. I don't remember how I even port forwarded this. Let me see. It's always the networking, man. It's always the networking. Not usually. Actually, usually it's always the DNS. Let me see. Where's my SSH tunnels? Here we are. So it should be 2024 to 2024. That's weird. Wonder why it's not good. Hey, Comrade Soul, what's up, man? Yeah, VimFox, it was horrendous. And what's funny is MSRC tried to classify it as a CVSS 9 instead of the 10 that it should have been at first. Eventually, they did acquiesce and make it a 10, but bro, it was so bad. Yeah, Azure Geddon averted, but barely. Let's see, the 30th. Okay, that won't affect us because we're not gonna be working during that time. Why is this not connecting up? Let me double check something here real quick. Let's do a net stat and make sure the server's running. Yeah, it's running on 2024. We got it. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got it. But for some reason, our port forward is not working. Even though we've got it set up in here. Let's see. Add that one back in just for grins and giggles. Let's close you out. Let's try reconnecting it again. Because what I'm doing is I'm checking local side on my system to see. Let me try doing something else real quick. Let's see if we can add a different tunnel in here. Maybe we can make that one work. Let's add a new one. So we'll do 2025, and that's going to go to localhost. Wonder if I need to, let's close that one out. I don't know if those have to be closed or not. Let's try this. No, there shouldn't be. CVSS 1000. Right. No, there shouldn't be any firewall in place because this is a local SSH port forward. My God, why do I have so much crap listening on this computer? Let's see. That is so weird. I tell you what, let me try. I know that everything's up and kind of running now. Let me restart Royal real fast. Give me 1 sec. Let me pop into OPSEC mode. All right, it's back up. Let's see. All right, now that this is back up, let's go double check something real quick. My terminal died. What the hell? This is not the first time it's done this. But it is very rude. Let's see. What is going on here? So we shouldn't have to change any of the overall SSH settings. Let me try one more thing. Maybe I can backdoor this sucker. So I has ways. That's not what I wanted, unfortunately. Rip me. Hang on. Because what I can do is I can just set this up myself. Let's see. This is the one I want. All right, now I just got to double check what the settings are for it. So what I'm doing is I've just got standalone putty set up here. Royal TS, it's funny because as much as I was just singing its praises, it should have automatically handled all of this port forwarding and everything for us. However, it's being an absolute turd for some reason. So what I'm going to do is basically just duplicate this connection here. Let's see. So I'm going to say go to 10.5.10.10, and we'll come down here to our proxy. No, it's not proxy. Where is it? Wish I could make this bigger. Tunnels. Here we go. So 2024 destination. Add that. And then click open. All right, login ads. Well, if something's jacked up, this is going to be really short-lived if this isn't going to work. That is so weird. All right, hang on. I have another option for this. I just didn't want to do it this way. It's annoying. And that is, what we could do is... we can actually come in here and we can run it locally from the browser right here. So let me fix this real quick. There we go. Suboptimal doing it this way, but it will work. So let's come over to Stinger. And then what we can do is let's go ahead and get all this set back up. Let's close this stuff up. And then let's go ahead and get our initial agent run going. Wait, that's the wrong thing. Where is it? Where are you, Stinger? There we go. So now... so what we're going to do first is we're going to do the seeding run here because we need some basic data for the other agents to work with. So one mistake I made whenever I was designing this project was basically doing something with TryHackMe instead of just running it local. But you know what? We can make do. So let's go ahead and submit this and let's run it. So what it's going to do now is it's going to come through and execute this workflow, and it's going to hit all the different agents. It's going to seed in our data. Once it gets to the exploitation agent, then it basically saves a copy of the state table onto disk. We only have to do this the one time. So this is our seeding run right now. Let me clean up all these attempts I was just doing. There we go. Now we're cooking with propane. Hey, Dan, what's up, man? Dan the man. Hope you're having an awesome Saturday, bro. That took 40 minutes to get everything set back up. I apologize, y'all. So we're gonna go ATV riding tomorrow, and it's at a new motocross park here in Texas. Not a new one, but one that usually isn't open to ATVs. It's usually just reserved for dirt bikes. So I had a lot of stuff to take care of today, namely fixing my phone, which took way too long. And then after getting my phone fixed up, I had to go run and go check on my mom and pick up the kids and get them dinner and stuff. Completely forgot to check the lab, so I apologize for that. That is an extreme lack of oversight on my part. Did I ever set this up? Oh, I did. Let's do that. Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. Hang on one sec, guys. Everything is not awesome. All right, there we go. Now it's back up. Also, I forgot to get the blackboard set up here. Let's do that. Kind of one of them days. All right, let's go check over here. Let's see what we've got going on. So yeah, I'm excited to go check out the new place. It's about an hour and a half from my house, so it's not going to be a horrible run, but got to get up kind of early too. All right, cool. So everything's running kind of how it should. For some reason, the enumeration agent is being slow. It doesn't look like it's being any slower than normal. It just feels like it's slower. Yeah, Dan, it should be fun. We got a whole bunch of friends coming out there too. So, bunch of the kids, bunch of their parents gonna be there. It's gonna be a good time. I'm not going to be riding though. Just FYI. So you don't have to worry about me. I got to work with Agent Zero though, because we put a new exhaust on his four-wheeler because I didn't realize how much power he was losing until we put the correct exhaust on there. Basically what happened is he blew the old engine. We put a new one in that this guy told us was ready to go. Long story short, it wasn't. Pulled that one out. We put another engine in that we had on standby that we hadn't planned to put in until he was a little bit ready for it because it's beefier. Well, the engine and the exhaust didn't quite sync. So it kind of it wasn't running great. It was spitting a lot of oil because the exhaust didn't quite sync up. We put the correct exhaust on there and he's got so much more power now. So it's going to be a lot of teaching him how to control that new power. Yeah, so basically Claude is going through and doing everything here for us kind of on the LLM side. Now, why is this not updating? I don't know, hope it didn't crash out on me. Why is this not refreshing? Oh, we got an index out of range. Okay, we'll have to go fix that. But yeah, what's happening here is basically each of these nodes is going to be more or less a language model call, not necessarily user input and initializer and stinger right now. This is the supervisor graph. It's not really doing much of anything. But if we go over here to like the exploit graph here, essentially most of these nodes are making some kind of either a tool call or they're making some kind of a language model call. So let me bring this over here. And then we can zoom in and y'all can see this a little bit clearer. So the exploit agent kind of comes through and says, let's look at all the data we've collected for the target and figure out which exploit we might want to use. So in this case, we're telling it, hey, you need to get remote code execution from a PHP web shell. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. It comes down to the step planner, and the step planner says, okay, what do I need to do to achieve this exploit? Kind of blueprints out the steps, and then the step processor comes through and says, okay, here's our list of tasks to accomplish this exploit. Do I want to use the tool, or do I want to pass it off to a special agent? So we only have one special agent right now. It's a browser. We're going to have to actually go do a lot of TLC on this because the browser agent is very unoptimized and it's taking entirely too much data for it to work. So I think we're going to have to go through and rewrite the browser agent. Not such a big deal, but we are going to have to go look at it. Yeah. There's actually some other really cool ones, Felon, kind of along the same idea here. So I'll go ahead and shout out Expo, even though I don't really like it, but it is working on the same kind of idea, but it's not open source. But there's another one called the CAI framework, and this is actually up on GitHub. And they're doing something kind of akin to this. I haven't dug super deep into it. It sounds really neat and what you can do with it, but here. So if you want to check one out, HackBot's up on GitHub too. It's 3 months since I pushed a code update because I got stuck in some rabbit holes. So I was trying to get it to a certain point before I went and pushed a new code update. But yeah, this one actually looks pretty fun. I kind of wanted to take a look at it. I'll probably draw some inspiration on it, but I like this little project. It's a lot of fun. All right, so let's go see, where did this sucker crash out on us? I'm gonna try this one more time. I don't know why the SSH port forward's not working. It's weird. All right, so where's our error coming in at? So this came in through our exploit agent, and it looks to see if the name was 0. So I think it's because the exploit agent probably did not make a tool call. Yep, it didn't make a tool call here. It probably said... So let's look at the task we were sending it here. Actually, what did it do? So it did call the special agent node. It went to the browser, went to navigate. So for this, let's see what it did here. So it said we're going to help you navigate to the panel page. It calls the special agent the web browser. And then, so the next thing after that it should do is after going to the web browser. Wait, did the reviser say it failed? No, okay, so the reviser did come through and say that the task validated correctly. So the task we next told it was we need to locate the upload form in the panel directory. Okay. Oh, you know what? Look at this. It says it appears we've already successfully navigated to the panel. So let's take a step back real quick, because this actually brings up an interesting design structure that we might have to go fix. Let's see. So where's the step planner? What steps did step planner actually spit out for us? So generate a PHP web shell. That's no problem because we give it an artifact for that. Navigate to panel, locate the upload panel directory, upload the PHP web shell. Okay, so it looks like one thing we may need to do in this workflow here is we might need to have a bypass in here. We might just have to tell it, hey, I don't need to do either of these, and just go straight to the step update. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Maybe the port's already in use by something else? Maybe. Actually, no, it's not, because I double checked all the ports. And so, dude, Felon, ask away, man. When I put Q&A in the stream title, I absolutely mean it. Feel free to ask. Everybody who's been watching for a long time, they'll tell you I have zero problems just taking a hard left turn on the stream and helping people out. Best to my ability. If I don't know, chances are I know where to help you find the information you're looking for. I've been around for a long time, but not all time. I didn't ever think we'd need a bypass. I'm trying to think about the flow for this. So what happened here is it's executing the individual steps, right? It's going through the exploit task. Or sorry, we have an exploit task and we have exploit steps to accomplish the task. What's happening is it's hitting the step. The step planner kind of gave us weird steps in there where it said, hey, I need you to go find the page and then find the upload form to it. Okay, sounds great. But the problem is the step processor came back and said, hey, I already know where that is. We can see from the output that we already have the upload form. So I could think of, I don't want to do this as a tool call. I'm trying to think, like, do I want to make this where, hey, if there's a tool call that's basically of the type bypass, do we just send it over to the revisor? I'm not sure. I have to think about this. Let's see. So I'm trying to change my career and pursue cybersecurity. I've got my CompTIA certifications first in order to get, or should I get my CompTIA certification in order to get an entry-level job? I have some coding experience. I used to work as a full-stack dev. So the CompTIA isn't going to help you if you're wanting to go into offensive security, which is what I do. That's my specialty. One of the things I usually recommend to folks also is get to know folks in your area, or second best alternative to that, if you maybe live in a really rural area, is find folks on Discord that you can chat with that are in the area you're thinking about going to. So cybersecurity is a really broad umbrella. The biggest kind of volumes to it, let's say, is you've got offensive security, which is where I work. You got red team, you got blue team, which is defensive security, which is where I used to work. And then you've got governance and risk and compliance, which is a lot of the auditing and basically making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's dotted. So I'm guessing you're probably not wanting to go into GRC given your background. So the question is, were you wanting to lean more towards working on like the defense side or the offensive side? Because both are crucial. And a lot of people, like, they get really attracted to offensive security, but in actuality, you have to have a kind of a weird mindset to work in offensive security. You really have to have like the hacker mindset I'm thinking about working on a video kind of explaining that, because a lot of people think hackers are people who do certain activities, but that's not even really the case. It's people who think in a certain way. Hey, Ernesto, what's up, dude? I start in the blue team first. I think that's actually a really great place to start with it. And blue team, it comes with its own set of challenges. Red team comes with its own set of challenges. It's kind of like picking your poison. I enjoy the red team challenges more than I enjoyed the blue team challenges. And also, I enjoyed the red team workflow more than I enjoyed the blue team workflow. Also, I was kind of a little dick, and I've been breaking computers since the 2nd grade. I couldn't help it. It was just part of what I was doing. Got attracted to the red team side while doing TryHack Me pen testing lessons. Okay. If you're wanting to go down the red team side, one area I would actually start with is the Burp Suite Academy. Where is it? Burp Suite Academy. Can I? There we go. Well, I call it the Burp Suite Academy. It's really like the Portswigger Web Security Academy. And the reason for this is if you were a full stack dev, you've instantly got a leg up on understanding the intricacies of how all these web applications work, meaning you've already got a firm understanding of their functions, and then it's just very simple to kind of layer on the security aspect to that. You've actually got part of the hardest stuff already down, which is understanding the full technology stack. Understanding what's front end, what's back end, where do the security implications happen. You're in a good spot. This would be one of the best ways for you to start working towards that. And there's always a big demand for web pen testers, because just about everybody's got some kind of a web interface. Even all the cool AI language model stuff. All this, I'm accessing it through a web interface. I'm making web API calls. Everything's still wrapped in the web. We just have a new shiny little probability engine that's running in the background in it. Yeah, Camarix, I think the Portswigger Academy is probably the best, probably like the best introduction and like foundational web education you can get on the security side. And Frozen, what's up, man? Happy Saturday, dude. I thought I'd need to get a job as an IT help desk first to land a cybersecurity job in the future. No, if you've already got like technical experience, not necessarily. A lot of folks that they're coming into like IT and they have no kind of experience, yes, help desk is very helpful in that respect. It helps you understand a lot of things, like what's the target, like what's the client environment like. But given that you've already got technical experience, you're not taking it, it makes no sense for you to kind of go entry level. It makes a little bit more sense for you to maybe take like a slight lateral to maybe slight downward to like a junior web tester, because a full stack dev tends to make probably better money than a junior penetration tester. However, you show your proficiency at it, you're working at it, well, actually, I take that back. You don't even have as high of a pay gap there. Like a properly compensated full stack dev is probably going to make more than like a penetration tester, just for like complete transparency. However, I enjoy the work better. Not so much on web. I've done a lot of web apps. I'm kind of still burned out on web. So yeah, that's where I would get started, is go through the Portswigger Web Academy. That'll get you a great understanding, because then once you understand the foundational stuff, you overlay that security. That's pretty much the way it is. It got to the point where when I was running the pen test team at my last company, I was telling everybody, they're like, hey, I want to take this course. I want to take this course. I'm like, hey, why don't you start with some more fundamental administrative courses first? Because you already understand what the security implications are, but you need to understand the functionality to apply the security implications. So I would have them start working in that respect. Meanwhile, I'm shouting into the wind, wanting another web app pen test. Dude, Dan, if I could just give you all of mine, I would let you. Actually, I just finished one that had some really tight code in it. It wasn't a super large app. It was just really critical data that was in the application. So they wanted to double check it. And we went through, had some fun with it. I got to see some really interesting data, but unfortunately, nothing exploitable. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story. So the code actually looked easily exploitable because we knew from the authentication flow there was no checking of the JWT that was sent to the application. However, that was on purpose because they have it only exposed through a proxy that was handling authentication. So the proxy was called an OAuth2 proxy. It would get them a connection up to like some identity service provider or IDP, identity provider. And then when that OAuth2 came back, it would use that to craft the JWT and then send it onto the application. So you couldn't touch the application in any way. You had to come at it through the identity provider or through that OAuth2 proxy. God, it was a beatdown. I was so sad because I was reading the code. I'm like, oh, this is great. They're not even checking the JWT signatures. This is going to be freaking sweet. And then once I figured out the architecture, I was really sad. I was a sad panda. Yeah, I had never seen that before, Dan. Here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, this is what they were running. So they had this configured in the front, and I think it was authenticating to like Google or something. And that's what they were using to handle the authentication and everything. It handled it for a lot of different applications. It was a beatdown. I was like, dang it. So we beat that thing up trying to figure out a way to get around it. Unfortunately, we never did. So I feel like in a future perspective, full stack dev jobs will be taken over by AI. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think the idea everybody's worried about is that AI is going to subsume the devs. Like, one of the analogies I like to use is, what was it? The second Iron Man movie with Whiplash. You know, what does Whiplash do? He goes and makes a bunch of drones. Whereas, you know, Tony Stark, Iron Man, and War Machine, they are men augmented by the machine. And that's the way I think is actually the way forward. And what happens? They end up beating all the drones' butts. So I think that's kind of the way forward, is understanding how to use those AI systems to augment what you're doing. I think one of the big pitfalls that a lot of new developers are getting into is they're using it too much too soon. So like, for example, when I'm writing this code here, where is it? When I'm writing all this code, probably 98% of this was written by me. I used AI for exactly 2 spots. And one of the spots, I think it actually did a worse job now that I understand what it's doing, because I had to come down with asynchronous code. I'm not very good with it, so I asked for some help with it. Once I figured out what it was doing, I think we can actually do away with it. And I can go back and rewrite it. The other section also was the same scenario. I think it was Grok, write an integration between 2 pieces of software. And the Grok solution didn't work at all. I could tell just by looking at it. However, the kind of structure of it was correct. So I was able to use that almost like a blueprint to go write the code myself. So all of this I'm writing without this assistance of AI as much as possible because I'm trying to build up my brain to do it. So if people are jumping directly to the AI bandwagon, they're not getting those neurons built up, right? They're just kind of atrophying themselves. Funny enough, they just patched a 9.8 off bypass.
Sound off like you got a pair.
Gumby, you're full of crap. What's up, man? I think I saw that off bypass, if I remember correctly. Hold on. Let me look at their releases real quick. Yeah, what was the CVE here? Let's see, so canceling a query by bypassing it during a call to the scan method of the returned rows can result in unexpected results if other queries are being made in parallel. Yeah, I remember this one. This was a race condition, and it was never going to happen. Not in the way we were doing this. Glad to be back home. I know, dude. As much as I like vacation, coming back home is always so nice. All right, I think we're gonna have to fix up the exploit agent. I'm trying to think how to approach this real quick, because here's what's happening. So we need to give it an option to bypass the tool calls and maybe just go straight to step update. But actually, I need to go double check the step update code, because it might even be as simple as going to the revisor and basically saying, hey, revisor, I think this has already been solved here. I think that might be the way to do this. Web security is really critical. The UK car company Jaguar Land Rover is still shut down since September 1st following a cyber attack. Oh, Techie Nut, I didn't hear about that one. I'm surprised I didn't hear about that one. Dang. Hang on one sec, guys. All right, I'm back. I had to blow my nose real fast. My nose is killing me. Let's see. Let me double check something in the step update, and let me check something in the step revisor. Yeah, let's go look at the step update function real fast here. So this will be over in our exploit agent. Oh, you know what? That's funny because I actually just left myself a note to update this because there's an issue where the language model never calls to update the task. Wait, that's weird. What? Okay, I'll have to go double check that real quick. All right, here's our step updater. I gotta remember what we did in here. But now that's the router. That's the revisor. Exploit step revisor. Here's our exploit step update. Let me double check this real quick. So we get the current exploit. Let's see. We get the current task anyway. Oh, this is a no tool call output found. Okay, so then what we need to look at is the revisor, because the revisor is the one that's going to say, hey, this passes or fails, and I need to double check what data we're sending to the revisor to know if it's going to work real quick. Dude, we're still working on HackBot, Gumby, but we found a little bit of an issue here where when the exploit agent was running, two of the steps looked like they basically were solved in one step, right? So the first step was navigate to the page, and the second step was find the upload form. Well, they were both kind of solved at that first step. So what happened here is the exploit step processor couldn't route to the tool node because it didn't have a tool call, and it couldn't route to the special agent node because there was also no tool call. So it just died right here. It just stopped. Didn't know where to go from here. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to put a bypass in where it might be able to just go directly to the revisor and say, hey, revisor, I think this is already solved. Can you look at it? So I'm double checking the revisor code to see what it would check for in that scenario. Let's see. So we get the current exploit task. Let's see. We get our exploit task index, and then we get the current step. Oh, this is if we made more than 3 tool calls for this. Okay. For the exploit step, that's fine. Let's see. After 3 failed. So we make that note a little bit clearer in here. And then, let's see. So we're going to check the status of the tool call. Let's see. So we send it the step task and the task output. So if we send it just the task output, how do I want to handle this scenario? We could do it with another tool call. However, I don't want to tack on any more tool calls than are absolutely necessary, because what's happening here is every time we make these calls, right? We have all these. Let's just exploit step. Hang on. Let me find a better example here. Here we go. So in the exploit step processor, look at all this extraneous data that we're sending to it. Whenever we do this, We shouldn't be sending all this data, but we have not cleaned up this stuff here. So one thing I'm probably going to add is a way to filter these functions to where they're not necessarily always available. I'm not sure. I got to think about that. There's definitely a lot of optimization that can happen with this. But I'm holding off on doing optimization unless necessary until we finish the supervisor agent. Once the supervisor is done, then we're going to do a big overhaul and a cleanup. Right now, the whole goal is just to make the entire workflow functional. Functionable. So how do we solve this? So by the way, if you're looking at this, what's happening here is these hard lines, these are non-conditional jumps. It must follow this path. So if a tool call is made, we go execute the tool, and then it immediately comes down to the step updater. If we go to the step processor, for example, the step processor, though, it could either make a tool call or it could call a special agent here, which is really just a special type of tool call. So the question is, do we come in here and do we just add an additional route over to the exploit step revisor? How do we want to handle this? Because this is a logic flaw, so we need to handle it logically. Right now, the only thing holding this up is the step revisor just looks at the current step and looks at its output. However, the exploit step processor looks at it, and it was looking at the entire kind of context. Actually, how did it make that determination? Let's go look at it. Because what happened is we hit the step processor. Its job was to go locate the upload form, but the upload form was already found, and it detected that. So let's go double check that real quick. So let's come right here to the step processor. So what context did we send it? Kuweka Mulhala? I'm not sure how to say that, but cool name, and thanks for coming online, man. Welcome in. I hope you're having a fantastic Saturday. Okay, so it already found this by basically building the context from the previous step in here. So we could go put in another check into the revisor, where the revisor basically says, hey, if the output length is 0, right? Because we have a check here to say, hey, by the way, is the output length of the tool call, is it greater than 3? If the number of tool calls is greater than 3. We could also put an else function here that says, hey, by the way, if it's 0, here's how we want to handle this. Oh, hey, Gubby. That's fine, man. Yeah, I'm seeing some weird stuff on the back end on Twitch, too. I don't know what it's doing. It's acting funny. So. Hey, Void, what's up, man? I don't know why the resub alert didn't play, but thanks for the resub, brother. What is it? That would be 6 shells popped. Nice. Let's see. Yeah, no worries. Let's see. Yeah, so the bug here is the revisor doesn't know. It doesn't understand what's happening, right? So like I said, there's 2 options I can see here. We can either go make it a new function that's real simple that says basically already solved. And if that's the case, when it sees that already solved tool, passes it over to the revisor. And what we can do is we can put an argument for that tool, which is basically just a function call. Think about it that way. We could put an argument in there that says, hey, by the way, this is already solved because we have this evidence that it's already solved. We could try that. Or The other option is we basically duplicate the context preparation function here to where if it gets to the revisor and we have no output, right? No tool calls, we build a full context and we let it go examine it, and it can determine if it was already completed. I think that's probably the cleanest way forward. Yeah, so we'll go to the revisor. We'll say if there's been no tool calls, then what we'll do is we'll duplicate this exploit step processor context generation, and then we'll run it that way. I think that'll work. So let's do that real fast here. Let's see. So let's come over here. We'll add one more little check. We'll do an else if. So we'll say if the length of the tool call, I guess we'll say if it just equals 0. Now, why is it throwing a fit here? There is. Oh, that's because I've used the wrong operator. That should be double equals. There we go. So if that's the case, what we're going to do is we're not going to modify this at all. We'll have to take this part right here, because there's some of this we're going to have to. Let's do one more thing right here. Let's just put a pass in here as a placeholder. And then last thing we'll do is we'll just prepare everything in here. Yeah. Let's put a note here. This is normal operation. This is going to be, let's see. No tools called. We'll say because the step processor messed up. Messed up or bypassed. No, it's not currently synchronous right now, Gumby. It's doing things like a penetration tester would do, where it's going sequentially in here. Eventually, when I start testing it against like multi-machine labs, like something like maybe Game of Active Directory, or we go spin up a lab where it's a small simulated Active Directory, we'll probably do that. Hans Sohai, what's up, man? Thanks for coming online. I hope you're having an absolutely stupendous Saturday. Let's see. So first thing let's do is let's back this part up just a wee bit here. So what we need is the task output here. Yep. So actually what we'll need to do is we'll need to define this up above. Take this out. Let's come up here. Let's do task output, and we're just going to initialize that as a blank dictionary. And then this part right here where we actually prepare the context, this is going to come, let's see, we need exploit step. That's all we need. Step task we're not even using down here. So yep, this can just come right up here into the else condition. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. But then what we can also do is this. Let's take this out now. Putting this up here. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to fix this up, though, because we're going to take this and we're going to go duplicate the behavior from the step processor where it actually builds the context. Yeah, here we go. Just like that. I had to remember what the function call was. All right, so we passed in the state table. We also passed in the exploit task index, which I believe we've already got.
Yep, which is the get current index from the state. Yep, just like that. In fact, what we do is we just take this and replace this guy right here. So we'll take this out, drop it right here. Boom. There we go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So we've got a bailout if it takes more than 3 attempts to get this. We've also got our task output. Let's see, expected type dictionary got a string instead. And we can fix that. Because what we're doing here is... Or we can also say string. Dictionary string. There we go. Just like that. Perfect. That was an easier fix than I thought it was going to be. So we define it up here as our placeholder. Then we come down here. We define it. So basically, if we make no tool calls, then we grab the entire exploit task context. If we do... And if we did make a tool call, then we just do the normal format tool output. Boom, just like that. Awesome. I think that might fix it. So let's go give that the old college try. Except I forgot this is over here because everything's jacked up. Now the cool thing is, now that we've got everything saved in the state table already, when we want to run this, it's real simple. We just submit it. Boom. Let me go check something while that's running. Let me add another hour onto this. Good, good. All right, so now we've got it executing through the chain. So if it comes through and it bypasses again, that's no problem. Oh, you know what I just realized? I just realized we did not fix this because we need to go fix this part right here. Notice how we don't have a conditional jump over to the revisor. So we don't need to update the step because we feel like we've already got it completed, right? So what we need to do is we need to go to the router and we need to allow the router the ability to route over to the step revisor. So we need to go fix that real fast. So let's come over to our router. This code's unreachable? What? That is weird. Why do I have that in there? Why did I do this? Oh, because this is different. This is the exploit step processor. That's this is something different. Let's see. What was the router that I'm using over here? Hold on. Oh, because it's not. I think it's not the exploit step router, is it? Hold on, losing my mind. What was that node called? So we need to find the nodes that can route to exploit step tool node. Let's see. Ah, because that's our exploit tool node. That's not our exploit step tool node. Where is that? Here we go. That's weird why we called that the exploit agent router. What? I think I got those backwards when I was building this. Yeah, that's one of the other things to fix in here. All right. Well, easy enough. What we do is we just right-click on this and we go to the declaration. Here we go. Let's see. So what we do is we double check if we're making a special agent call. Then we tell it, okay, we're going to go here. So we just do two things in here real fast. We just take this out. Let's go pull this out. Let's say... Well, we actually need to buff this up a bit because this is not robust at all. What we need to do is we need to check this real quick. So let's do a little bit of fixing real quick. Let's call this our last message. And this is going to be... So that's going to be our last message from the state table. This should be... What type is that going to be? I think it's not an AI message. What would messages be? Should be any message in here. Not like that. Why is it not doing this? Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. There it is. All right. Well, I don't have to type this anyway. I've been trying to type all the messages in here, but I'm not worried about that. Basically, it could be an AI or a human message. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna get that last message, and we're gonna check something real quick. We're gonna say if. Is it is type? I can't remember the function. I'm gonna remember how to do this. If you logged me out, I'm gonna be pissed. Ah, you piece of crap. Hang on. TryHackMe always loves to log me out at like just the wrong time. Alright, there we go. I can't remember how to hit this. Let's see. Python check if variable is type. I can't remember what I forgot. This is instance. Damn it. That's it. And then what we're going to pass it is, let's see. This is going to be last message, and what we're going to get is. Actually, we can even just check and see if it has a key. Better than that. Let's do that. Has attribute. No, that's not what I want. Let me see. Python check if object has an attribute. Oh, it just has adder. Okay. Let's do that. Has adder. We'll say last message. And we'll say if it has an attribute called tool calls. There we go. And then let's take this out. So that's going to be a last message. Actually, this works out perfect. Because what we'll do is we'll say, we'll get the last message. We'll say if it has an attribute called tool calls, bam, then we go down this path. Otherwise, what we're going to do is we're going to return. What was that tool? What was that node called? Exploit step revisor. So we'll say exploit step revisor. Just like that. Boop. So now what will happen is if we don't have any tool calls, it's just immediately going to go to the revisor in there. And let's see what LangGraph thinks about this. Any code errors? Nope. Looks like it's working. Sweet. So now what we can try to do is run this again. Submit. By the way, for everybody wondering, this is still running on Claude 3.7. Eventually, what I'll do is I'll also add functionality into work with OpenAI, Gemini Open Router, you know, a lot of different options so that if you want to do self-hosted, you want to do some other cloud provider for the AI model, you can. I've got a server over here that's big enough to run GPT OSS 20B or other larger models because it's got 22 gigs of VRAM in it. But that'll be for the next step. For right now, I don't want to go change anything that what I'm doing. I want to let it just kind of do what, stick with what we've got for now. Thankfully, I still have like $60 in Anthropic credits. We've only used about 45 while we've been doing this project. All right. We still need to go through and optimize the browser though, because the browser agent is very inefficient in its memory usage. Because we're using a built-in agent from LangGraph called the React agent, and it doesn't do any context management, and it just gets chunky. It gets huge, so it's not working right now. It is working, but it grows too big, and then the language model complains about it. We keep flooding the context. How's the requisition going with the AI beast? It's going, man. I think we probably just crashed it again. Let's go see. Let's see, what error did we come across here? Probably something in the new code I just said. Oh, actually, that's not a horrible problem to have. So what happened here? Every time it jumps to one of these nodes, it has an LangGraph has an incrementer that it keeps in the background. And if it hits 25 nodes without basically returning from this graph, it assumes that you are stuck in a loop. Not necessarily a horribly bad situation to be in, but it is a bit annoying. We hit our graph recursion limit. So let's go see what it was doing though. Hey, Bobby, what's up, man? All right, so let's see what it did. So it got the web shell artifact. Perfect. We hit the special agent node. It hit browse to go to the panel to upload it. Let's see. Then what do we do? Nice. Actually, let's see. We gotta double check here because we gotta see where it went. Let's see. So after the browser navigation, we went to the revisor. We went to the step processor. Actually, let's go back even more. Let's go to the step planner real quick and see what steps did it plan out for us. So get a web shell artifact, navigate to the target panel, upload the PHP web shell, access the web shell through the uploads directory, test the web shell by executing a simple command like ID to confirm remote code execution. Oh, it's getting so close. It's working. It's so close. Ooh. Oh, the request for the new NVIDIA hardware, it's DOA. What's her name? Lori Wired actually wrote up something about it, and she brought to attention something I hadn't noticed about it, and that is the memory bus speed on the digits, on the Sparks server, is absolute hot garbage. Literally like a MacBook Air, I believe, or maybe a MacBook Pro. But yeah, MacBook Pro, I think, has better throughput for the memory bus. And so I was like, yeah, it's not going to work like I was hoping it was going to work. I think I'm just going to nix on it. Not only that, but also the budget that I've got for it, which is professional development, has certain tax implications tied to it, and it has to go to certain things. So ironically, if I had found a course that only charged $1 but had a requirement that I needed that Spark server for the course, then I could have bought it and expensed it. So yeah, a bit of a bummer there. But anyway, it turned out that the hardware isn't as hyped as they had led on to be to begin with. So not much of a bummer. Honestly, I'd almost rather build a new system and put like an RTX Pro 6000 in it. The Pro 6000's like $8,000, but the Sparks was like $4,500 to $5,000, and the performance was going to be way better on the RTX 6000. So I'm not even worried about it. All right, let's see what we got here. So we tried to do the file upload. We did a click, did a file upload. This is standard because what happens here is it wants to do the file upload, but it doesn't have the correct modal present. So it does a click to get the pop-up modal. It browses to the file. It does a click. And then now what we get is probably an error that comes back. Let's go all the way to the bottom. Here, you can't see it because it's behind me, but it says, I completed the upload process, but it appears it was blocked because PHP is not allowed. That's expected. There's a very minor bypass that has to happen here. Files with the .php extension aren't kosher. So, not a problem. This is expected. What should happen is the reviser should come back down and rename the file, which looks like that's what it did. So, let's go look at this. I want to go through this whole chain right here because it's trying. It's trying so hard. Can't wait. Okay, let's do this. Let's see. Okay, so it failed. So we're going to try bypassing the PHP extension filter by renaming the web shell to a different extension. So we're going to try PHP JPEG, PHTML, or PHP5. That's actually the one that it needs to do is the PHP5. Not such a big deal. So after it revises the task, we then come down to the step processor. The step processor says, or what we tell it is, try to bypass the PHP file extension filter by renaming the web shell with a different extension. Oh, you know what? I just noticed something. We might need to go fix on this. So let's look at, so this was the previous, this was the step right here. If we come look at the, previous step processor call, right? Actually, we can look at this beforehand even. So this is, which task was this? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I shall bide my time. Exactly. Don't hack smarter, just try harder. Every time someone says try harder, I just get a little twitch in my eyeball. All right, let's see here. So let's go back up to the reviser real quick. Actually, the reviser will have one. So what we have here is upload the PHP web shell using this form. Okay, so there's a little bit of an issue here that I hadn't thought about, as usual. So this was the task. It needs to upload the PHP web shell, right? Well, one thing we need to do is we need to actually insert a step here. Because before trying to upload the PHP web shell, let me think about this. I hope I really don't have to go restructure the entire setup for this. Because here's what's happening. The revision comes through and says, hey, just try to bypass the extension header during upload. Well, yeah, that kind of makes sense, but however, it's losing all the initial context of the original task, which the original task was up here, where it said, hey, upload the PHP web shell. So we need to go update the reviser a bit. The reviser needs to include the original message. So let's go check the reviser prompt real fast, because it did try this. All right, hold on. Let me take a note here. So one thing we need to do is we need to update the revisor prompt, because we need to include the previous task to this. Let's see, include previous task. Because if we don't have that kind of information, it's never going to get past it. So what we want it to do is, rather than giving us a new thing to do, we want to tell it, hey, this is what you need to do and how you need to address it. Damn, I'm trying to think about this. So what we've got is we have a couple of, let's look at the actual steps here real quick, because we got to think through the logic of this. So the step planner in this case, so what we had is we told it to get a PHP shell, which it did. That's fine. And then we said We told it to navigate. Navigate to panel. And then we told it to upload the web shell. I can't write today. I can't write any day. Upload the web shell. And then finally, the last thing was to access it here. So I'm writing this down. Let's see. Access web shell. And the reason why I'm writing this down is because the problem is what we probably need to do is actually, we have a fault with this step, right? So it's almost like we need to kind of come in and insert a step back here and rearrange things. Because previously what we were doing is just rearranging this step itself, basically redoing it. So if we do this, everything right now is basically each of these steps for the exploit is considered kind of atomic, right? It's meant to be like one individual piece, but that doesn't look like that's going to work. We've got to give it a way to handle each of these steps simultaneously or in multitude. How do we want to address this? Let's see. I think let's start with this idea right here, updating the revisor prompt, basically to include the previous task. So basically what we'll do is we'll tell it, hey, by the way, yes, we do want the revision. However, we want to execute the revision prior to this. So I think what we might be able to do is just basically take the task right here and then prepend the revision before it. Revision. Whatever. Use threading. Get out of here, Void. Get out of here. Get out of here with your asynchronous self. Actually, let's go see what it did, though. So it got the idea that it needed to rename the file, right? So if we come through and we rename the file, it did it, though. Look, you can't see it because it's behind me, but look at that. It renamed it from PHP to php.jpg. So that's good. And then after it renames the file, it probably comes back and says, hey, I already did that. Do I need to rename the file again? Yeah, so it kind of gets stuck in a loop here because it loses track of what it's doing. Okay. How do I want to handle this? Come to think of it, actually, the way we've got the hunt orders set up, right? What does it do? The very first thing it does is it comes through and it searches every time the node comes through. The nodes come through and they search for where's the first task, or I'm sorry, the first step we've not attempted, right? So if we actually did this, if we went in and we inserted into the list a new step, when it executes again, what's going to happen? It's going to come and execute, this one's done, this one's done. Oh, here's the new one. Rename the web shell. Okay, great. And then we come through and we say, let's upload the web shell. I think that might work. Oh, why not? Let's go give it a try. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. We're going to hack around and we're going to find out. Let's see. So where's our revisor? Here's our revisor, just like so. Let's see. So if it's step failed, update with a revision. Yep. So let's go do that real quick. So Damn it. Actually, I was trying to think. So what's going to happen here also is we've got three different extensions it's going to try, right? It first wanted to try, let's see, it was .php.jpg, right? That's going to fail. Then it wanted to try .phtml. That's going to fail. And then the last one it wanted to try was .php5, right? Great. So if we let it to try this, what's going to happen is we're going to keep hitting. Well, basically, it's going to keep inserting and then working down the list. How do we want to handle this situation? Because now we've already got task inside of task inside of task. And now we're about to get task inside of task again. Oh, let me think about this. We could, as much as I hate to say it, we could make a new function call for this to happen. We can make a new tool call. We can give it two options to either modify. No. I tell you what, before we make a decision, let's go look at the actual prompt for it real fast. So where's our exploit revision prompt? There's our exploit planner, exploit step. So given the exploit task, analyze the output, determine if it's, let's see, I think this is the correct prompt. Let's see. Yeah, get exploit step status prompt. Okay. Let's give it a little bit more information here real fast. So let's say, you are the world's best, let's see. Cybersecurity exploit crafter. There we go. Let's see. Okay. Then we tell it, hey, given the exploit task and analyze the output and determine the status of the task. Let's see. Tasks that require artifacts should be file name paths. And we say if the task status is failed, provide a reason for and a correction for the error or the blockage. Let's see. That's what. Let me rearrange this real quick. Let's move. That is not what I wanted to do. Let's clean this up a bit. So if the status failed, provide a revised task that corrects the for the error or blockage. Let's see. We'll say actually let's just modify this. Let's see. Prepend to the task a single prepend to the task a revised yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of how to word this, Smith. What we want to do is we want it to prepend to the task a error correction step. Actually, I take that back. Let's back this up. Let's back that thing up real quick. Provide a revised task that corrects for the error blockage. We can absolutely do that. Because then if we come back over here, let's go back over to the exploit system, into the revisor. I think I like that idea. Because what we can do is, we know where the exploit step is, right? Let's see. Yeah, we got this up here. Let me get rid of this code now. We don't need this. That's just muddying it up. All right, so here's our exploit task index. Let's see. Where's our current step? Our exploit step is from exploit task current step. Let me go look at the state table real fast, because the state table gets dummy thick. It gets thicker than a McDonald's milkshake when the machine works. So we do have a current step in here. So current step is 2. So it would be this one right here. And you see how it's been renamed, so try renaming the PHP extension. So the problem is it lost that original task. So what I'm thinking is we come in here and we insert that. So that would actually work, because what we do is we take the current step and we insert a new one into there. Yeah, let's go try that. Let us try this. So right there where current step is, that's where we're going to do the insert. I kind of want to actually change this to where the status is revising. But I can't do that because it's going to be listed as working anyway. Hey Palmer, what's up, man? Yeah, it's the steps are all in a list right here. So this right here, this is just a list, and it's a list of these exploit step objects. So yeah, we could just come in and insert that right there, and then it should push all these down. Then when it comes back around, we just make a new one happen. So what we want to do is, let's put a to-do in here. Insert the error correction task prior to the fail task. When you execute them, how do you know what a step is done? So this step revisor here, this node, what happens is, after a step gets kind of planned out, when it's in this loop here, the step processor finds which step needs to be worked on. It finds some way to try to solve it. And then it comes down to the updater that just updates the tracking information. And then the revisor looks at the tracked information and makes a judgment call, or letting the language model decide if it actually failed or not. So it looks at it and says, okay, from the task description and from the informational context, did it work? That's what it's doing. And right now, what's happening is, this right here shouldn't say try to bypass the PHP extension. This should say upload the PHP web shell. It got overwritten when this happened. So that was not the original intent. I was expecting it to modify this in a way that would fix it. Because now, yeah, it tries to change the extension. It does, but then it can't upload it. And then so without doing the upload, then it's going to try to do the access, the payload. Are you popping from the list when you're done? No, each of these has their own status key right here, which is just a string. And so it's either going to be new or working or failed currently. So we could go add a fourth state to this that says it's being revised, but all the code is currently looking at, is it new or working or failed? So we can leave that step working. It's not going to bust it. Yeah, I think let's do that. So we'll need to go craft a new exploit step and inject it into that list. So insert the error correction task prior to the failed task. All right. Let's see. Actually, we could even take this a step further. Oh, I'm trying to think how to do this. There's, and this isn't even very deep, and we've already got so many moving parts. I can't, it's going to be a nightmare when we get to the post-exploitation agent, because it's going to be even deeper in here. What I'm thinking here is, because there's actually two possibilities to this, right? We've got two possibilities. Hold on. Here we go. It might be something like, hey, this task or this step in particular isn't good. We need to update this, or we need to inject a prior step. We need to go back a step. In this case, we're in the second half. We need to inject a step prior to trying to upload the web shell. So we need to give the reviser the ability to either create a previous step to inject or do this. I was thinking it was one or the other, but really it could be both. Let me think. So how do we accomplish that? Well, we have options. Well, actually, something we can do is this up. So what we're doing is it says we're building an LLM and binding tools to it. And actually what we're doing is we're using this more or less for structured output. This is a dirty, cheap hack way to do that. And the reason for that is because you see over here in the trace, see how we get all this information back? Like, hey, this is what the language model was using for its reasoning. And then we get this back. If we do the tool call method, this bind with tools for structured output. Actually, where's the reviser? There we go. This is the better example, right? We get all this information here, but we don't get any of this information here if we do structured output. So we don't want just structured output. We want to be able to get both pieces of information. This is going to get generated one way or another. The question is, what do we see in the tooling in LangChain whenever we do this? So what I'm thinking is we'd actually just modify this tool. We can say that this is a task, we can say that this is a task revision, and then we can add another field in here that the task should be revised or a new task should be prepended. I think that'll work. I believe that's over in our output formatters. Let's go to that. Go to declaration. Here we go. Yep, it's in output formatters. Okay. So we have our status. It's either validated or it's failed. We have our revision. So this is the revised version of the task adjusted for previous errors. Leave blanket, the status is validated. So what we do is we just add another field to this. What we'll say is, let's just call it task let's see, maybe new step. Yeah, let's do that. New step. This will be a bool. And we'll just make that another pydantic field. And we'll say the description is, let's see, true if the revision should be, let's see, if it should be executed prior to the current step. Let's see if that will work. Does that make sense? So basically what we're doing is we're sitting at this. It's doing this reasoning here, right? I'm going to analyze it, look at the output. I can see the PHP web shell. It's not, PHP is not allowed. Indicates the server's rejecting uploaded PHP files directly. Great. So now what we'd hope to see is, in this case, this would be something that we would prepend to this. So new step, true or false? True if the revision should be executed prior to the current step. I think that'll work. Oh, sorry, Palmer, I just saw your question. No, we're not doing any multi-threading right now. Everything is kind of executing sequentially. Eventually, I think we will, where it will go through and there will still be like a supervisor, and it will go through and divvy out to the individual task, let them run in an asynchronous environment. But that's only really going to be needed when we're working in multi-target environments. Right now, we're not. So that is a future upgrade that's got to be planned. I think this might actually work. All right, let's go try it. Let's hack around and find out. That's what everybody wants. Do a little bit of hackage. Now what I need to do is, for the exploit step, no locking, thankfully. Actually, there is some async stuff that I can tell would be helpful for this. However, like I said, right now it's not super helpful because we're just attacking one target. In the future, I do want to go attack multiple targets, and that's where it was going to be very handy. Let me add some extra time to the try hack me box. All right. I need to run to the bathroom, and then what we're going to do is we're going to, if it failed, we're going to check the tool output, and we're going to see, did that new field get set? If it's set, then we inject the new step. If it's not, then we update the current step. Boom. We has a plan. All right, guys, give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Shut up. There you go. All right, let's see. Let's get back to a wee bit of the code. Let's see. So where's our revision here? Let's call this the new step. This is going to be right here, and we call this new step, just like that. Yep. Boom. There we go. And so what we're going to do is, let's say if new step, we'll do stuff, else do this stuff here. Let's copy this. Boop. Okay. I don't remember asking you to format anything like that, sir. Any working on the current Hack the Box season? Man, I would like to. Maybe just for fun, but I just don't have any time, man. So I gotta finish a draft of a blog post come Friday. So it's gonna be a very busy couple of days for me here. And once I get that, because basically I only have Monday and Tuesday to work on it. So once I get that knocked out, then I immediately got to turn around and start working on a vulnerable web app for something I'm working on. And I've never done like a full web app before, like crafting one. So I'll probably lean pretty heavily on Claude Code for that. But the idea is it's going to be like a Christmas CTF for everybody. Let's see. So what I wanted to do here is, so instead of revising the exploit task, what we're going to do is we're going to insert this. So we're going to say, yeah, we'll just say insert a new exploit task. So don't care about the task index here.
Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
Frozen. I know you can hear me. So full of crap. What's the purpose of the web app? It's going to be a vulnerable web app, so it's going to be some kind of specialized testing with it, but it's also going to have a language model mixed into it, and that's going to be part of the idea. The whole purpose of the web app is to show the separation between attacks against the language model and attacks against the web app, because a lot of people, they don't understand like where the delineation is very cleanly on them. So I'm going to try and wrap them into one, and I've got an idea for it, but I want to kind of put them into one. So like you have to do attacks against the web app and attacks against the language model. You have to do two, like they're going to be distinct. So it's to try and help it drive home the idea that they're two different entities, right? A lot of people kind of view them as one because they're looking at the lens of like Claude or OpenAI, right? Where you're talking to it and you're trying to get it to do stuff. But there's so many different facets to it that I'm trying to get people to understand, hey, this is where these exploits kind of live and what they're doing. Actually, I take that back. Let's see. Current step. Let's see. Inserting new. Yep, and that'll be the revision here. So then that is... This is going to change, because what we need to do is I need to come back down to... Let me put a little marker here for this. So that was line 416. I need to come down to the exploit step planner. That's our processor. Did I miss the planner? No, there it is. Yep, there we go. Get exploit step. And if I remember correctly, this just takes in a string, returns it like that. Yeah, so we can just use the get exploit step function in there. Perfect. And what we'll do is we'll craft a new exploit step, and then we'll inject it into the list of exploits. Just like that. Excellent. So, ooh, I don't want to do this. Let's see. I gotta remember how to do that. Let's see. Insert into Python list. Oh, so you just tell it insert, just like that. Boop. Okay. So if we insert this at 1, we should have apple, orange, banana, chair. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Because then what we do is we just insert it at the current step. And we're golden. Nice. Nice. It's going to make tracking a tiny bit weird because we're talking about, like, hey, when we're tracking this, we're tracking it by the current step. However, the current step, if this happens, is going to be shifted down by 1. So we have to keep track of that. But it's not a problem. Let's see. So instead of this, we want to do dot insert. And, except I just spelled insert. And then, let's see, that's our index, that's our object. So our object is going to be get exploit step. And this is going to be our revision, just like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Cool, I think that'll work. So if the new step variable is set to true, then we say, hey, we're going to insert a new exploit step. Otherwise, we're going to come through, we're going to say, this is it. This needs to get taken out. Just like that. Boop. And then we just return the same thing. Nice. Fail out because LLM sucks or failed. I forgot I put that note in there. All right, let's see if we got any kind of hot patching error from the server. Doesn't look like it. So now we should be able to try and go run this again. So new thread. Let's give it a try. Zor, the patriarch. What's up, man? Thanks for going online. And I hope you're having an absolutely spectacular Saturday. We're just doing a little bit of hacking here. Let's see. Well, we're trying to teach an AI how to hack. Within reason. It's doing things in a CTF environment. I could already see, like, if we're using this and we had a human in the loop, it would be really awesome. Except I'm trying to take this up a little bit higher where it's a lot more hands-off. Unless there's a failure, then the human in the loop will come in. But honestly, that's not even going to come in until we get to the supervisor. So what happened is if we hit a failure point, the failure should bubble up back to the supervisor, and the supervisor comes in and says, hey, what do? Wonder if I can... Yeah, there we go. That kind of makes it a little bit simpler when it does this. I bet we hit a recursion step in here when this happened, but that's okay. Let's go see what happened. Let's close that. All right, we hit a recursion limit, but that's okay. Let's see what happened. So far it's behaving appropriately. We got a PHP web shell, and then we browse, we navigate. Actually, so what happens after we navigate? Hold on. Since everything changes so much, we got to look at what's actually happening here. So for the planner, see, in this case, it didn't include the upload form. It just said navigate to it and then upload the PHP through the form. So Good. So we get the navigate, and then we get the PHP dance. That's all good. All right, so let's go to the revisor here. What does it do? Let's see. So upload the PHP web shell through the file extension, rename the web shell to webshell.jpg or webshell.html to bypass filter extensions, then upload it through the form. New step false. Okay, so it chose not to make a new step. However, we might have to get explicit with it in the prompt and tell it, hey, if you're going to rename something, that's going to need to be a previous task, right? Yeah, I think we'll have to do that because it tries to rename it twice and then it bails out at the recursion limit because it hit 25 node hops. So let's back it up a bit. Let's come back into the prompt and do a little bit of prompt engineering. Let's see. Track the error or blockage. Let's add another directive in here. So what we'll say is each task should be a single instruction. If new steps are needed, specify, what's it called? I think it was new step. New step as true. There we go. And we can kind of work with it like that. So each step should be a single instruction. So if new steps are needed, specify a new step as true. Let me think about this. I'm trying to think if there's any other way I should do this. Let me double check something real quick. So when we did the step planner, how did it do this? Navigate to the target's upload form, upload. Navigate to the upload shell. Let's see, execute the command through the shell. Okay, so each of these is kind of individual, but I'm trying to think, what did we do for the system prompt up here? So all steps should be constructed to be performed by calling tools. Do not include any security bypass techniques. Provide a minimal list of the steps to accomplish the task. Assume the target has no additional security features. Artifacts are available for code snippets, i.e. PHP web shells. I kind of want to go update this a little bit too, but it's not been an issue where it's saying, because we gave it an example here of like, hey, this is what you should do, right? Yeah, I think this will work. Probably we'll go give it another example in the future. We'll do what's called a multi-shot prompt, but for now, this will work. All right, let's go save this. Make sure it hot loads in correctly. All right, and then we can run it one more time. So let's make a new thread, and run. All right, so the step planner went through. Wonder why it's not working over here. There we go. So I just saw it navigate to the panel directory. Let's look at the exploit planner. This view doesn't give me all the information that I want. It's either too much or not enough when it does this. Come on, you can do it. You can do it, little agent. All right, we hit the revisor. Come on. For how long it was taking for some of these, I'm hoping Claude's not getting overloaded again. It's thinking. I think we're chunking up the web interface. All right, so it finished the run. Probably failed again with the recursion limit, but that's okay because we can always up the recursion limit. Let's see what it did. So what's our steps that it planned out for us? Upload through the web load form, access it through the uploads directory, test the web shell. Okay, steps look pretty decent. So we get the PHP web shell, we navigate to it. Looks like it went good. We go to file upload. So it tries to upload the file. It should fail with the PHP not allowed. Yep, perfect. So then now here's what's crucial is after the PHP not allowed, we need to see what the revisor does. Okay, good. So the status was failed. The revision is rename the PHP web shell to .phtml extension and upload it through the form. That is a compound. That's a compound. Because now it's going to probably try to call rename twice. Oh, no, it's not, actually. Okay. Okay. I like this. I like this. So it calls file rename. So it renames it to webshell.phtml, which is good. And then we do a browser click, we do an upload, we do a click. And then it hit the recursion after that. Oh. The file uploads successfully. No. No. So it was working. However, we hit the recursion limit when we executed this. Damn it. Hang on one sec. Let me drop into OPSEC mode real fast because I want to go double check something. All right. Stand by, y'all, because I don't want to show off everything happening here. Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. Come on. Why is everything wanting to work the hard way? Let's see. So I'm just checking the usage real fast. Let's see. So what was our usage from the no, hold on. Like, how much have we used so far? Huh. Funny enough, we've only used $1.20 tonight. Not bad. Let's see. Where's the billing? How much do we have left in here? Still have $61.89. Awesome. All right. So far, just from testing tonight, we've used about $1.20. Not bad. So now what we can do is we can come in and we can actually update the recursion limit. So let me figure out where to do that. It actually tells you in the documentation here. Let's see. Let me go look at this real quick. Let's see. So your link range state graph has reached a maximum number of steps before hitting the stop condition. That's fine. If you have a complex graph, you can pass in a higher recursion limit into your config object when invoking your graph like this. Okay. I gotta remember how we're gonna, I don't know how we're gonna do this though. Because how we're executing it through here. Let's see here. Set LangGraph recursion limit. this the one I was just looking at? No, this is not it. This is different. So here they're always setting it in the graph invoke. I'd prefer to be able to set it as an environment variable. See, they're always setting it on graph.invoke, but the problem is, I don't know where to even set that whenever we're running it agentically like this. We might be able to set it on the parent graph, come to think of it. Let's go look real quick. So here's where we compile the graph. Here's our main. Actually, this might just be where we need to execute it, right here. I wonder if this is where we have to set that, come to think of it. Let me do something real quick here. Let's see. Print executing from exploit agent main. Just put a little print function. Let's see if that works. Boop. All right, so we're going to set the recursion limit up to 50 right here. Yeah, you're fine. We don't have to actually pass anything to you. All right, let's go try this now. So I'm going to watch this output. The bummer is once we execute it, we get a ton of output into this. So, yeah, I could do that. Excellent. Let's go run it. Because it's getting close. It is getting so freaking close. Oh, wait, hold on. I need to go double check one more thing. Come to think of it. I need to go see when the revision happened and it renamed. Let's see, so for the file rename, that means it was this revision here. When the revision happened, we did get a new step. So what we should see is we should see that in the input of the step processor as a new task. Or, I'm sorry, a new step in the task. So let's come down and drill down. Yeah, there we go. Rename the PHP file extension. Nice. So after rename, what does the reviser say? It validated as false. And the reason was because the task was renamed. The output shows the file path, which indicates the file will... Hold on, what does it say? It says, so I'll analyze the task and output to determine the status of the exploit step. The task was to rename the PHP shell to .phtml extension and upload it through a form. The output shows the file path, which indicates that the file with the .phtml extension was successfully created or saved. This suggests the task of renaming the PHP shell to .phtml extension and uploading it was successful. The system has acknowledged the file's path existence. Okay, so it didn't quite work the way I was expecting it to, but it was working. All right, let's run it. Let's let it do its thing again. All right. Go, little exploit agent. I can kind of see, too, once we get to this point here, when it hits... When this starts working, and we'll test it several times, like we'll run like 10 iterations through it to see if we can get the PHP web shell to work. But when this happens, I'm willing to bet once we move on to the post-exploitation agent, we'll probably have to come back and revisit the exploitation agent. In fact, we still need to go back and buff up the browser agent, because right now it is working, but it's pretty inefficient. So we'll probably have to go through and modify it a wee bit. Make it a bit more efficient to where it's not so noisy. Because right now it's sending a lot of extraneous data to the language model. It's sending the entire conversation history to the language model every time it does it. right, so it's trying to rename again. I can see that. Let's track it over here in here. Let's see. Where are we at? So we got the web shell. We navigated. We tried to upload the file. It failed. We renamed the file. Then we're doing the upload again. Oh, please work. Oh, please work. Upload webshell.jpg. Okay. It's trying. Oh, it looks like it might have failed because we've got to continue happening here. So let's come back over here. This should sync up in just a second. Okay. Damn it. Recursion limit of 25 hit. Dang it. Man. Because the upload worked. See that? Ugh. So what this means is, let's come back over here and double check the output log. So where do we get our blank? So here's our blank. So I'm not seeing a... Yeah, so I'm not seeing anything happening in here. Dang it. Maybe we need to actually go set that what is it? The recursion limit. But we actually need to go set that over in Stinger. Let's see, let's bring this over. Where's Stinger at? I gotta figure out where we can set this. That's not it. Let's see. So I'm new to, this is guys using Streamlit. Hey, Paraji, what's up, man? Do you have the code somewhere lying around so I can take a look at it? Yeah, man, actually it is up on the BlaiseBits GitHub. So it hasn't been updated in 3 months, and it's because I've got a big code drop happening, but here's a link to it. And thanks for coming online, man. Yeah, I have a very big code drop about to happen as soon as the exploitation agent gets sorted out a little bit. And the reason is because I actually added a little chunk here called special agents. And so special agents is going to be a way to craft your own agents and insert them into the execution graph. So here, right here, you see this node called special agent node. What can happen is you can craft your own, you'll be able to craft your own special agents. You can drop them into this directory. And I got to go document the layout of the special agent. But when that happens, what it will do is it will come through and import them at runtime and then insert them into the graph wherever you tell them to. So for example, here, let me bring this up. Actually, take that. That's an agents.py. Oh, it's over here. Let me bring this over. So in agents.py, what we do is we just basically define this structure where this is the graph object. We have an agents mapping and we have a description of it, like what does it handle. So we could actually have multiple entries in here for this agent mapping, right? And I'm super excited because I need to go double check some of the code, but this is actually why I haven't pushed this new code yet, is because of this special agents thing. So normally I'm trying to like commit at the end of the night, like, hey, this is what we're doing. Everything's kind of busted at the moment. It got away from me. So much for committing small, committing often. No, we're going to commit probably something that violates the Geneva Convention. All right, let me see here. Yeah, dude, it's been a fun project. And the whole reason I started is because I wanted to understand how these AI agents work better. Let's see. There's our main. There has to be another way that I can pass this recursion limit outside of this. This is killing me. Let me see here. LangGraph Studio set the recursion. So, because what's happening here is we actually have this defined. I think it's in, where is it? Studio config, right here. So we have what our dependencies are, and then we've got the various graphs actually set up in here. The problem is, I think the LangGraph Studio doesn't understand the invocation with the recursion limit. In fact, I know it's not. It's not calling like the main function. It's calling this Python, and then we tell it, hey, this is the object on which to call. Let me go check for that. Let's see. LangGraph Studio config JSON. Let's see. So we have setting up the local LangGraph server. We've already got that going. Environment variables. Create the LangGraph config. Hold on. So the create agent automatically returns a compiled LangGraph graph to pass to the graphs key. Okay. So hold on. Where are we using create agent in this example here? I believe create agent is basically their duplicate of the React agent. I'm trying to remember. See the LangGraph configuration file reference for a detailed description of each of the JSON objects in the configuration file. Got it. Let's go look at this really. Because I need to find a way to up that recursion limit as this is happening. And see, this one doesn't even have the recursion limit listed in it. Let's see, adding schematic search to the store. Let's see. Adding custom authentication. That's cool. What I need though is I need a way to set the recursion. No, that's not it. So we don't have any references to recursion in here. So the LangGraph CLI includes commands to build and run LangGraph Platform AI Server locally or in Docker. So for development and testing, you can use the CLI to deploy the API, which is what we're doing. Okay, so the LangGraph CLI defaults to using the configuration file for LangGraph JSON. That's fine. We've already got that specified. What I need, though, is we have a path to our env file. We've also got our store configuration for adding semantic search, which we're not worried about. Python version. Let's see, pip config, check pointer, HTTP. Ugh. There's so much stuff in the exploitation agent. Don't forget to use doc strings for functions. I intend to. So I know right now it's not documented at all, hardly. But once we get through this section here. So this is the overall architecture right here, Stinger. I don't know why that just went way off the rails, but that's fine. All right. So this is the supervisor right here. Let me collapse this real quick. So the supervisor is Stinger, and it eventually will handle creating all the different tasks. Right now we seed it with a bunch of tasks like go scan for this, go identify this version, get a PHP web shell, basically going through the entire list of things that it should do. Eventually Stinger though is going to just be given an IP address and told, go forth and hack, have fun. And it will actually create the task, hand them off down to the agents, and then let them do their own thing with it. So we still have one more agent that's not present, which is the post-exploitation agent. That's going to take probably the largest amount of time because it's probably going to have a lot of sub-agents in and of itself because it's going to be completely connected over to Mythic AI. Or I'm sorry, not Mythic AI, Mythic C2. So the Mythic command and control framework is going to be set up in here for it to be able to run and use. So once that gets done, then we're going to circle back around to Stinger. Stinger is then going to start getting its intelligence approach instead of just being basically a dummy right now. The initializer actually creates all the tasks from the user input and then just hands it off to Stinger. Stinger just iterates over it programmatically. It doesn't make any language model calls. So we'll start buffing this up. Once Stinger gets to that, that's going to be the minimally viable product, our MVP, and then we're going to go through and completely clean it up, fix things, overhaul, document stuff, everything like that. So there's a lot of documentation that will have to happen as it goes through. But this right now, if I could just get the freaking recursion limit. If I could get the recursion limit up, we'd be set. We'd be golden. It'd be good. It'd be so good. It'd be stupendous. Because it looks like it's getting so far, right? It actually finds the bypass because the problem is it won't accept PHP. We've got to rename the extension. And it gets to it, and then it's like, hey, cool, yeah, the new one's on here. But then it just freaking craps out on me. Yeah, there's a lot to it, man. I've been having a lot of fun building it. I've written all the code myself, which is a big project because I don't write code as a day job. I'm a penetration tester. I break code. But I wanted to get better experience with writing a code base. Ironically enough, about the time where everybody says coders are going to be deprecated, I don't think that's the case. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. Lost my stuff here. Hey Ty, what's up, man? These projects take a lot of time to program everything, even when you have the time to concentrate on it. Yeah. And I only, like I said, for anybody who doesn't know, I only work on this on the weekends. So I do 3 hours on Saturday and Sunday night. We come in here, we chat, we have fun with it, and that's the only time I work on it. Occasionally, I might throw a little bit at it in the middle of the week, but that's pretty infrequent, pretty rare. You're a data scientist? So I have a degree in math, so I had considered going into data science and machine learning around 2017. And then in 2018, I got an opportunity to move into offensive security. And so I jumped into that. So I thought, yeah, sure. I got a degree in math. I can totally work my way into this. And I was starting to, and I was having fun. But then when this opportunity opened up, I was like, let's go. That's been me for a long time. And now I get paid for it. Time to go back to hardware. Dude, I actually don't know really hardly anything about hardware. I wish I knew more. I'm looking forward to when Agent Zero gets a tiny bit older. Maybe even just in another year, because he's about to turn 7. And I can start doing some hardware stuff with him. He already knows some basic algebra. And so we're having some fun with it. I had to teach him binary. I was doing truth tables with him a couple weeks ago. He thought they were fun. I'm not a programmer either. I hack code. I know, right? Yeah, but you hack code. You were hacking code together. I was hacking code apart. I was always interested in penetration testing, but had an opportunity to go into data science, so I decided on that. Dude, that's a good field to be in. I mean, especially considering like every system now needs so much data, right? And they're doing some really awesome stuff with it. So my wife has a degree in genetics. And so anytime I come across like an interesting paper, like, hey, these guys have trained a machine learning model to work on something about CRISPR. And I was like, dang, this is cool. So I'll send those to my wife. I was like, hey, check this out. And they're making some really interesting progress with it. I think a lot of it's more hype than reality, but at the same time, they're still making the progress with it. They just might be overselling the progress. Let's see. There's got to be a way to increase this frickin' recursion limit. Something else we could try is actually, we could try executing the entire graph again. It seems to operate differently from when we execute this. Why not? Let's go try that. Let me double check something real quick. Before this, we got about 15, 20 minutes left in the stream. Okay, we got plenty of time left on the testing box. Let's go do this. Let's come over to... Let's go grab our initial state table. Real fast here. Let's grab this. And let's just go rerun it. So here from Stinger, we're going to run the whole shebang again. We're going to let it do its thing. And we're going to see if it still gets the recursion limit at the exploit agent. Because that'll be the big tell on it. So this will take it probably about, I don't know, how long did this take last time we ran Stinger? Let's see, the last run took about 4-ish minutes, probably to get down to the exploitation agent. So this will be a big run. However, once it goes, and most of that run is really just letting it do the tool calls, because it's got to do an nmap, it's got to do a GoBuster scan. The GoBuster scan takes 30 to 40 seconds. And then it's got to do a couple other things in here. So, but you can even see from here, this is how we kind of seeded it right now. Stinger doesn't know anything. We have given him some basic information like, hey, there's the target machine, and here's the task we want you to run. Scan the target, figure out how many ports are open, determine the version of Apache running, figure out what's running on port 22, hint, it's SSH, and then use GoBuster to find some hidden directories, examine those and see if they have upload forms, and then get remote code execution from a web shell. There will be more steps after this once we get past the exploitation agent, but for right now, it's working pretty well. I gotta go inject the load pickle thing again in here. I really just need a good framework to work from. I don't know enough about the code to actually, or the code types that are actually available. So I've been out of the loop for too long. Dude, being out of the loop is just a matter of time to get back in the loop. You can do it. I have faith in you. All right, let's see. So we're already in the enumeration agent. That one's going to take it a minute. Let's collapse that down. It won't let me. So once the enumeration agent goes through, we should hit the exploit agent. It'd be good. All right. Come on, Enu. I'm curious to see what'll happen because I know this Stinger run is probably already, because if we come over to the exploitation agent, right? We can kind of guess about how many hops it's taking by looking at this. And it should have hit way more than this as it was going through Stinger, right? So we'll see. If it dies earlier in the exploitation agent, then we'll know that the recursion limit is still in place. And that might be a big pain in the butt. I'll have to reach out to the LangChain guys over on Discord and say, hey, by the way, I'm hitting this error. How can I up this recursion limit here? I learned a lot from watching you. Oh. Wait, hold on. How is it they do that? There you go. Heart Tiger. Where are we at in this? Oh, we're in the... Okay, so it's in the exploit loop right now. Sweet. I was really happy last night because I was only up till 2 a.m. cutting the YouTube video for this morning. Instead of the usual 5 a.m. But also, I had a couple hours to work on it in the afternoon, so... I'm getting better at using the video editing software. I had a fellow that was helping me out with it, and by helping me out, I mean he was pretty much doing everything. And he was really cool, but he was in school, and so it got to the point where it was being too distracting for him, and I said, dude, don't even worry about it. I want you to focus on your schoolwork. He's in college, and I was like, just go get that. And he was actually studying for a Cisco certification, so I said, I got that in the bag, man. Any questions you got, just ask me. All right, so we did hit an error. Let's go see where we errored out at. Okay, so we hit a recursion limit again. So I bet this recursion limit is on a per graph basis. Let's see, does it indicate which graph triggered the recursion error? Okay, so hit the stop condition. You can increase this by setting the recursion limit config key. All right, I would love to. I don't know how to set it without doing an invoke, though. Whenever you compile the graph, how do you set this? Let's come back over to the exploitation agent. So it's not executing in main right here. Ducks under doors. What's up, man? I love that username. Thanks for coming online, brother. Hope you're having a fantastic night. Hope you're having a super stupendous, salacious Saturday. Maybe not salacious, but I need to buff up on my S adjectives because I stream on Saturday and Sunday. I gotta have a better repertoire. So our compile is happening, right? Does the compile actually take... It'll take a check pointer, a debug, and a name for the compiled graph. Not so worried about that. There's gotta be a way to add a config into this. Salubrious? I'm afraid to look that word up. I think it was... healthy giving. Or healthy. Nice. That's a good one, Orange. Salubrious. How do you say that? I did say it right. Salubrious. Who was it that wrote that? Let's see. What was that? What was the author of this? I'm trying to remember. Oh, it was Faulkner. That's who it was. So in Faulkner's work, William Faulkner, he talked about that basically whenever you have characters with like an S name, it's for some reason it like really leads them to like some kind of like nefariousness. And so salubrious sounded a little bit funny, but then I was like, hey, that's a good one though. Super stupendous salubrious evening. Dang, what's up, man? Exactly. I'm a sucker for alliteration and puns. So a LangGraph configuration file is a JSON file that defines the settings and dependencies for the LangGraph application, including properties like the graph paths, dependencies, and environment variables. Typically defaults to use in the file name langgraph.json. So usually that's what's killing me right here is every time I'm running this right here is talking about the langgraph.json file. I remember, right? Yeah. This is the configuration file, but every time I look at where to go set the recursion limit, every time they're setting the recursion limit, they're setting it in the config. This isn't it. Where is it? Here we go. They're always setting it in the config on invoke. Maybe they've got something updated here. Let me search for this. Recursion limit. Let's see. I mean, this is, it's not telling me necessarily what I need. I don't know if I could go define that in like langgraph.json. I could try it and then we could go reload it. Give it a try. Let me double check something quick. Let's go ahead and kill the server real fast. See, let's shut it down. So we told it where the studio config is. I'm going to try it. I mean, I don't have anything to lose from it by doing this. Let's come over here. Let's go down to the main project. Let's make a new file. We'll call this langgraph.json. And we're just going to drop that sucker right in here. Just like that. And then, in theory now, if we go restart the server, there we go. Maybe it'll work on it. Sinbleed, hey brother, what's up? I was reviewing a PR for the LKML for the Linux security module. Someone wrote this code. Dude. I don't even grok what that code is saying. My C is so rusty. Why the heck do you want an array of pointers over a function pointer for more security issues in the kernel? So there's been a theory running around that there's basically nefarious actors trying to purposefully insert code that looks legit but is not into the Linux kernel. And there was one that was a PR, I forget what it was, but it was some really vulnerable code that had a very basic buffer exploit in it. And it got called out hard, but there's been examples of that happening. Hope Linus thrashes him on it. Yeah, I know, right? Do you know if anyone tried converting some dimensions of packet traffic into audio? Listens to the router. Ooh. Africa is suddenly asking for lots of RDP. That's funny to me, Orange, because I kind of started my IT journey in Cisco networking. So the thought of listening to packet traffic actually cracks me up a lot. Let's see. All right, did the server start back up? It did. Let's go get back into it real quick here. Let's reload this. Okay. Looks like it's good. Let's come over to the exploit agent. And I guess we'll just try running it again. I don't know of any other way to test the recursion limit other than just throw some packets at it. Unfortunately, this will be the last run for tonight, and then we're going to call it a night. Let's see. Is anybody over on InfoSec streams? Tanis is on. What's he doing? Let me see. What you doing, Tanis? Nice. All right. Tanis is on it. He's doing stuff. Cute. You know, in Kernel Land, some new guy come and wanted to look cool with Mr. Fancy McFancy code. It's more cause for security issues.
Welcome, Agent.
Hey, Ducks Under Doors. Thanks for the sub, buddy. I appreciate it, man. New agent online. right. Let's see if this will do it. Come on. Come on. Give me that web shell. Come on. No recursion limit. No whammy. No whammy. Damn, I'm out of water. Alright, I just saw it rename the web shell again. It always seems to die after the rename. So I'm willing to bet that we did just hit the recursion limit again. So I'm going to have to reach out to the LangChain guys over on Discord. Actually, they've got a, what is it? They've got a Slack also. Yeah. You're killing me, Smalls. You are killing me, recursion limit. All right. Unfortunately, that is where I've got to wrap it up, guys. But we're going to go right over to Mr. Tanis because he is doing some cool IT talks right now. Let's go ahead and get that started up. Do me a favor, guys, when you get over there, and in fact, hang on one sec, because I will. For everybody over on the YouTube side, if you want to join in on the fun, there is the link to Mr. Tanis's live stream. And when you get in there, do me a favor, drop a bunch of Hack the Planets. Hack the Planet. We're gonna go raid them with some of those. So, unfortunately, y'all, that's where I've got to end it up. I will figure out how to bypass this recursion limit, and we'll get after it. God, because it's so close. It's so close. It's renaming the file. It's trying to upload it. Oh, it's getting there. But, unfortunately, that's all I got for you guys. I will catch up with y'all tomorrow night. I hope y'all have an absolutely amazing Sunday. Spend some time with the friends and family, and get prepared. We got Crushing It mode coming up real soon. And, most importantly, I want y'all to remember one thing. Well, two things. Thanks for coming to hang out. It's always a blast. I enjoy all your company and your ideas that y'all throwing out. And two, I want y'all to remember that I love you. Peace.